Good morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View YouTube channel. Today we'll look at the Celtic FC news, we'll look around some of the stories that are hitting around this morning, we'll look back to the Glasgow derby yesterday, Rangers 2, Celtic 2, we'll dissect that slightly, and then at the end we'll look at the comments section, and just for shits and giggles we'll listen to Hugh Keevans, who said, "Celtic do not look as if they're about to score. Hold my pint," says Kyogo, and boom. So we'll look at that as well, let you listen to that. My throat is totally gone today, I bet yours is also. So yesterday Celtic obviously went to Ibrox with 700 fans, and 5 minutes into the game we think that we're on to a good thing, but it wasn't to be. There's a nice story that's come up in the Scotsman, and it's something that really needs to be spoken about, especially when you don't stay in Scotland. You know, it's the biggest match of they still call it the Old Firm. There are still some people that call it the Old Firm. We call it the Glasgow Derby. It is the biggest spectacle in Scotland. But to be fair, it was tarnished. It was tarnished. I mean, we sat in the pub, and if you've seen the video for yesterday, you've seen how full the lounge and the bar was. In fact, the three pubs on the strip were completely mobbed with Celtic fans. And it was sad to hear the shout of "fuck the Pope" on the TV. Now, you might not have heard it if you're in the UK, because it was probably dubbed down by Sky, but it was heard clearly. And then you could also hear a few Celtic fans singing out. But this bit on the Scotsman goes on to say about the Rangers fans 20 minutes into the game took the anti-Catholic songbook, was out in force at Rangers throughout the stadium, which included "Follow, Follow" by the No Pope and Vatican lyrics, and then the "Billy Boys up to your knees in Fenian blood." You know, "No chapel to sadden my eyes, no priests demand." Do you know, the anti-Islamic, the anti-Catholic, the fucking anti-everything that are the Sevco was out in force yesterday. You know, you do hear "dirty orange bastards" said a lot for a lot, which is, you know, I know guys that go to the matches, I know lots of guys that still go to the games, and it is their right to sing whatever they want at games. We've been through this many a time over the years. But is it time? I mean, it's not a good look for Scottish football. Moving on to the game, Celtic had umpteen chances the first half to put the game to bed. You know, they could have really been further ahead than what they were the first half. The goal by Daizen, what a run. Players, I mean, there's people give him some stick. You know, he can't finish worth his. By that yesterday was just amazing. What are the Celtic pundits saying? John Hartson went on to say, Chris Sutton took to Twitter first of all and says, "Celtic got away with it today. Carter Vickers was immense. Too many players were off. Aaron Moy, why was Aaron Moy dropped for this game? He's been absolutely fantastic since he came back to the World Cup. Why was he dropped for this game in midfield? You've seen the difference that he made when he came on. One player that should have been dropped, if you ask me, was... Who do you think it was? He was in the middle of the park. He was playing up front in the middle, and to be fair, he just never kicked a ball. O'Reilly should never have been on the park for the start of that game. If you ask me personally, he was a player that obviously got took off. Another player that shouldn't have been on the park is Juranovic. I did call before the game last week. I thought Juranovic might not play due to the fact that Alistair Johnson had been training with the club for about a month now. He was been right up to speed, and you actually seen the difference when he come on. You know, he is a player. I think if we do sell Juranovic, and there was a lot of people on social media yesterday saying they would gladly make sure that they were hoping yesterday the likes of Man United, Chelsea, Barcelona, etc. weren't watching Juranovic because he had a right stinker of a game. The fact is, Rangers couldn't beat Celtic when we were bad yesterday. We were really bad. We made them look good. Celtic made them look good. You know, the likes of John Hartson said it was all about Celtic before the game. You know, Celtic should have had a penalty when Connor Golson puts his hands up, and there were so many pictures, and why VAR didn't even look at it. And then the penalty the Rangers got, where the player goes down and he's actually standing on the Celtic player's foot as he goes down. So that should never have been a penalty. So, but then that's what you expect. It's becoming more clear as you watch VAR from afar, as they say. You see how bigoted that some of the decisions are against Celtic. In Celtic transfer news, it is said that Celtic are locked in negotiations with South Korean World Cup star Cho Chi-sung, according to the player's agents, but they do face competition for the player from Olympiacos. I think if Ange Postecoglou spoke to the player, he's on his way here. I don't think that any of the players from Asia that speak to Ange haven't came. He's basically got everyone that he's went for. The fact that you've got Turkish giants, Galatasaray and Olympiacos from Greece looking at the player, if he wants to win things, he'd be better coming here. If he wants to get up to that next level and get a platform in the Champions League next season, he will be better coming to Celtic, to be honest. Callum McGregor said after the game that Celtic were off. That was one person that the Rangers made sure that they nullified yesterday was Callum McGregor. They knew that everything good that goes through the pitch was through Callum, and they made sure that Callum was really quiet yesterday, and it was one of his quieter games. Celtic lucky to get the draw. No, not really. I don't think so. I think we made them look good. I thought we did well the first 20-25 minutes. We got an early goal. The atmosphere, you could see the atmosphere with them died a death. Celtic at that point were dominating the game. We let them back into the game when you slack. When you do that against a decent team, they are a decent team. They are beating everyone in the SPL, FL, but they're not as good as us. We had a really bad off day, and they can say what they want. And the fact that when one of our better players, and one player that does not get enough praise for me, is Greg Taylor. When he went off, it was a massive difference in the best bit of the game when he was sitting on his arse and he told, "Shut it, fat boy." So, anyway, we're delighted with the draw. Callum McGregor's delighted with the draw. After the second half, the performance was not at the levels that we're used to, and we could see that. So let's jump over to some of the comments before we listen to what Hugh Keevins had to say live on the radio yesterday. So the comments for the video yesterday was the Celtic 2, the Rangers 2, Celtic 2, We Never Stop video, which was recorded bits and points during the game yesterday at Paddy's Point in Lasagna, Spain. Paddy's Point CSC is one of the biggest Celtic supporters club on mainland Europe. And your thought says, in Thailand, watching it on the Celts, We Never Stop, hail hail. Tim Celtic said, second best today, but showed what it takes to be champions. Section then went on to say, second best, we're top of the league, mate. Ask who's second, hail hail. Young Bat saying, you've been a top kid, good luck enjoying yourself. Ange Ball, Celtic have won the league again, George Square is safe. Paul McDuff says, 9 points clear, hail hail, brilliant atmosphere by the way. It was a good atmosphere, and the pubs were mobbed yesterday. It was fantastic. Don't know where they all came from. There must have been a lot of people over on holiday here just now, but the whole strip was absolutely mobbed. It was good to see. Anne Armstrong says, see, they're still taking Deludamol. Glasgow's green and white. Something Today says, we never stop except for 40 minutes in the second half. Blows my wee mind that Forrest starts in front of Abada. Understand why Forrest started. I mean, he does have the experience in the big game, but Abada does like a game against the current Buns. Bringing on a right back to play in front of a left back was just crazy as well. We all know, but Juranovic did have a good World Cup, and maybe that was in the manager's thinking that, bring him on. He knows it's a hard game to sort of come on for your first one. Paddy went on to say the manager will give them a kick up the you-know-what. He probably will do that today, they'll probably be off today, but when they're back in tomorrow, I think they'll analyse the game and they'll analyse where players went wrong. And then user YG4 says, absolutely delighted Celtic scored an equaliser to deny them 3 points. Not delighted with Ange being complacent again with the starting 11. Joe Hart needs to go. Been saying that for months. That's one of the things. Joe does make some good save, but he does give you the fear at the back when he's passing the ball out. I mean, that one when Morelos was kicking about, and there's sometimes Joe Hart just isn't up to playing that type of football. It is new to him as a keeper. Hart's a liability says we would never sell our club. We need a new keeper. We've got a keeper that's actually pretty good sitting in reserve, sitting on the bench, and he must be thinking to himself, what have I got to do to get a game? You know, and that's the thing. He's came from Dundee United. He is a good keeper. Dim Sum went on to say, okay, for sure, I'm going to have to stop by that pub. Welcome along anytime. Now let's jump over to let's hear what Hugh Keevins had to say about Celtic not having a hope in hell scoring late on yesterday.
You don't get the impression, for the most part, 99 times out of 100 you look at Celtic and think it's coming, but you don't get the impression looking at them this afternoon that there's anything imminent here. They just look to be struggling.
They're lacking a bit of sharpness for me. Yeah. You know, I'm used to watching Celtic. Everybody compliments them. They're entertaining football. As Jota here's trying to make something work.
Aaron Moyes in the box, but there's so many Rangers bodies back, and Ryan Jack does great. It's bobbling around everywhere, and there's an equaliser for Celtic.